Okay, so it's rear brake install time. Um, these are pretty old. You can see they're pretty rusty, and they shimmy when I brake. So you can see my other video, I did the fronts first. Now I'm doing the rears. So this is a video just to give you quick tips on what to expect when you replace the brakes. One thing that's pretty awesome about these cars, they're very easy to work on. So I did the install video for the shocks, very easy, and I did the video for the front brakes, very easy. The rears are very easy. In the front video, the front brakes install video, I didn't mention the brake pad wear sensor install. So the brake pad wear sensors are on the front left and the right rear of the car. So there's only one sensor for the front and one sensor for the rear, and they have them staggered. So right here you can see that this is the sensor. Funny thing is, it looks like the previous owner did not install this for whatever reason. It's not a big deal. Hopefully I can reuse it. So my pads are fairly worn. I would say they're definitely due for replacement. But anyway, I just wanted to at least do a video on the rears with the wear sensor, so that you guys are aware of what to do with that. Good thing to do is, like, I've tried to reuse ones that haven't been triggered, worn out, the wear sensors, and I will say it didn't work as well. Like this, there's this right here where my thumb is, there's a metal spring that's supposed to go in and into the brake pad and help it mount. I tried to do that. I tried to reuse the front one, and unfortunately that broke, or it came off of this plastic sensor, the wear sensor, and it doesn't fit well anymore. It's not really secure. So the nice thing about it is these are actually pretty cheap. I think they're like maybe $5, $5 to $7. So you can get new ones. Doesn't hurt to you can try to reuse your old one, but just be prepared that it might not work. I'm going to try to use this one. This one looks like it's also broken the way that my front one is. So maybe that's what they did. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the original sensor for the car, and they just it didn't get triggered, so they just left it on so that the light doesn't come on. At the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. For people who are somewhat car enthusiasts, they're going to be checking their brake pads regularly, but that's just something to be aware of. And you can see, so the sensor, the harness goes all the way through here, and it goes down over here, and then I'll go show you underside where you actually need to take the connector for the sensor out. But so in the meantime, before I do that, I wanted to give you guys just a quick heads up. So when you take the wheel off, I would say the first three things that you want to do is you want to break the rotor retaining screw. You definitely want to take that. You want to loosen that first. You want to you'll want to take off these so in the back here that it mounts this, so this right here where my finger's pointing to, there's two of them. There's one here, and then there's another one down right here. There's going to be some caps that look like this, these caps. So these caps, so these two mounting points are for attaching the caliper to the caliper bracket, that this bracket mounts to the rear trailing arm. So there's two caps that look like this. You're going to want to pry those off with a flathead screwdriver. Just be easy. They come out pretty easily. So I always take these off and clean them up. But so what you're going to need is you're going to need to take those caps off, and then you're going to use an Allen socket or an Allen wrench, whatever you got. It's going to be 7 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. It's I don't know if the sun's in the way. It's 7 millimeters for these ones here, and for this rotor retaining screw, it is a 6 millimeter. Again, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. So you'll need a 6 and a 7 millimeter Allen wrench or Allen sockets to get them off. And then the other thing that you want to do is while the caliper's still attached to the rear trailing arm, you're going to want to pop this off. Just be careful with this. Since they're so old, they can break pretty easily. I don't know if you can tell, it's actually even already worn on the top here. It's already breaking through. I need to probably replace this. But you'll want to take a 9 millimeter wrench and open up that valve. At least just loosen it just ever so slightly, so that you know, once it's off the car, it's much more difficult because sometimes it can be kind of stuck, which mine kind of is. So those are the three. I would say those are the first three things that you'll want to do as soon as you get the wheel off. I'll have to get some more leverage with my second hand, but like I said, this was just more of just kind of giving you guys a heads up of what to look for when you start, and when I'm come back, I'll get into a little bit more detail. One more thing, as I mentioned in the front brake pad install, here's a quick way to get this spring out. It's pretty simple. You put it in against the inner part of the rotor, and you just kind of push up, and you see how it released it, and then you can just pop it off. Let's see if it comes with one hand. No. So yeah, just once you push it out, it'll pop right off. All right, that's one thing that sometimes gets people a little confused. So it's pretty simple to get this off. So I just thought I'd remind you guys on that. Okay, so here what I did was I used the old brake pad. Hopefully you can see it. Here's the old brake pad. That's the outer brake pad that does not have that little spring on the back of it that attaches into the caliper piston. So I used the brake pad, and then I used the C-clamp here. You see the C-clamp. So what I did is I opened up the bleeder valve, and I squeezed this back, and obviously some brake fluid comes out. That's what you want. Some people push it back without opening the bleeder valve. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think that that's very good, because you're pushing the brake fluid back into the system, which it's really technically supposed to just go one way. So that's just one thing I did. And then actually below here you can see I have a container that I actually used to put the brake fluid in. So yeah, so just to do that, so you can, like I said, you can put a little tube on here on the end of the bleeder valve right here, and just you're gonna have to obviously compress the piston, the caliper piston, so that you can fit the larger new the brake pads with more meat on them. So I did that. And then also another thing that I wanted to show you was, so here, remember I had these caps that I told you to take off. They were right up over here in this general area. So the caps covered this, and so there's two of them, and this is what they look like, these slider pins. So you'll want to clean these up before you reinstall them. I lubed them up with some axle grease, but yeah, so this is what they look like. And then and then once you get the caliper off, the bracket is actually held on by two 16 millimeter bolts. Here, I got them off here. So here's where they go through the rear trailing arm, and then this bolt mounts them onto the rear trailing arm. So that'll give you an idea of what they look like. So yeah, so I'm gonna put a list of the tools. There's really not many tools that are needed for this job. It's basically flathead screwdrivers, maybe get two. I got this rubber mallet, and I'll put I'll at the end of the video I'll show you what the tools that I used. But yeah, for the most part, there's not many tools that you need for this job. So okay, so now what I'm gonna do is actually, while I've got you guys on here, I might as well. So I'm taking this retaining screw out, and then more often than not, so you know, this is most cars, particularly if they're driven in the harsher winters with the salt, this is usually where the main cause that keeps the rotor seized, but also it's obviously behind. It's on the hub here too. So here, sometimes what I have done is this car actually hasn't really seen too much snow. So sometimes you can put a screwdriver in here in the vent and try to pull it off. It's been a while since I've been able to do that on a car. But so here's what I do: is I just bang the edges, and there it is. It already popped off. So sometimes it depends on where you live and how long they've been on. You know, these things can be kind of difficult to get off. So yeah, so that's what it looks like back there, and then here's the inner part of it. So this obviously always rust. This is where so right here, this is the emergency brake. This is the brake shoe for the emergency brake all around here. So this is what the emergency brake uses, the inner surface of this rotor to apply the brake. So just a little, you know, just a little information there. So okay, so I'm gonna go and grab the new rotor. I'm gonna clean this up, clean this stuff off, the brake dust and all that. I always like to clean up, and then I'll continue on with the install. Not too much more. It's obviously most of this is just the reverse. I'm gonna just show you where you need to take the sensor connector off and reconnect it up, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's as I said, very easy install. This is one of those jobs, yeah, it just takes a little bit to get prepped for it, but you know, I think this is where these are the kinds of jobs that the shops make the most money on. These are the easiest jobs that you know, they'll charge you $500, $600, $700 to do it. Particularly if you take it to BMW, they'll charge a lot of money. So it definitely will save you some a good amount of money if you do it yourself. And it's not tough. And one thing that I will say is, after I'm done working on the car, I always feel so good. It's like you appreciate the job a lot more. But like I said, I'm gonna go clean this up and I'll be back. All right, guys. So I'm about to put on the rotor, and like I said in my my front brake install video, I like to paint the rotors so that they don't rust. And so what I did here is I'll put primer on it, and then I'll put some paint on it. Usually in the back I put primer on it. So yeah, so I like to do that just so that it keeps them, and I even do the vents here. If you can see, the vents are painted as well. I do that just to try to cut down on the rust when they get you know, exposed to the elements. Obviously they start rusting pretty quickly. And so right now what I did is I actually just cleaned up all the brake dust off of the dust shield and the hub and everything. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll put it all back together, and then I'll show you the pad install, as well as the brake pad wear sensor. Okay, just thought I'd just show you real quick. I love cleaning up the car, so this is one thing that I like to do. So just some ideas for you guys if you want to try it out. All right, I'll be right back. Alright guys, we're down at the home stretch. I wanted to show you guys something about these slide pins. So on the left hand side, that's the one that I haven't cleaned up, and the one on the right hand side, this one right here, has been cleaned up. So just thought I'd show you. You definitely want to clean up all of this debris. It comes off fairly easily. I actually use a blade to get it off, but you definitely want to clean these, and then put some grease on them. I put some axle grease on them so that it slides better. As I said, they go into the caliper right here. There's two on either side of the piston. That's these slide pins. So you'll definitely want to lube these up so that it slides as best as possible. So with that said, I got the rotor on. I put the bracket on. And now what I'm doing is, so what I did was, my brake pads came with this lubrication. It's a Molly brake lube. So I put this on the brake caliper carrier here, that connects to the rear trailing arm. So I put it in these grooves where the brake pad slides on. I also put it on here where the brake pad sits and slides on. And then I also, what I did is on the brake pad itself, you see on these ears here, I put some lube on there too. So definitely, and then I actually put some axle grease on the back plating here. You can see it right there. I put the axle grease there so that it just cuts down on a little bit of squealing and things like that. So one thing that I mainly like to try to do is I really like to lube up a lot of stuff. Like you can actually see I lubed up over here too. So what I did is I put some axle grease in the back there so that this rotor doesn't rust to the hub, as well as here is a good place, because this will actually, if you live in colder weather climates, it'll corrode. And actually my neighbor had it where all of this right here corroded and his wheel got stuck on his rotor, and we had a hard time getting it off. I mean, we were banging at real a lot, and I can't even remember, it took us a lot to get that wheel off. So ever since then I paint them and I put a little bit of lube on it, so that I've never had a problem since. I've been doing this for a long time. So yeah, so now that I've got everything lubed up, I'm gonna put the brake pads in and mount it all back up. And now the final thing will be the brake pad wear sensor. So you'll obviously need to follow it around here. It goes on the rear trailing arm, and then what it does is it actually goes up near the pocket where the rear trailing arm bushing is. Hopefully you can kind of see it right here. So here's the rear trailing arm right here. This is where the rear trailing arm goes into the chassis and mounts. So it's just a little bit farther up. It's just right over here. So what you're going to want to do is it's right up here, right next to the gas tank. So you'll just obviously just open that up and disconnect it. Just be a little careful when you're pushing the pin so that you can release the connector. It's going to be brittle. So I actually broke the one up in the front, and feel horrible. My OCD's kicking in. I'm going to try to fix that with a replacement, but just be mindful of that. There's hopefully you can kind of see that. There's going to be a box here. You'll see a black box that you'll open up. You'll see two wires going to it. One's the ABS sensor and the other is the brake pad wear sensor. And you can see the wires are running along their rear trailing arm right here, and then go off onto the chassis, and then right next to the gas tank. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think for me, for the most part, I take this as an opportunity to clean up a lot of stuff. I even clean these little end caps for the slider pins. But yeah, I'd like to go a little extra mile so that when it comes to working on the car again, it's easier. And another nice thing is it definitely prevents the car from feeling older. It's also in the mind. It kind of like when you know that you've done things right, it makes you feel that much better. So yeah, I hope this hopefully inspires some people to tackle these projects themselves. They're not hard. But yeah, so this is going to be for all E46s and or E46 non-M3s and E36s as well. I'm sure they're probably for the same even for the M3s. And for the when it comes to the parts that the tools that you need, I will say it's pretty pretty basic. I just had some flathead screwdrivers. This rubber mallet, it has sand in it, so it doesn't hit hard. You want a 6mm and 7mm Allen wrench or Allen socket. I had a 16mm socket, and then just a 3/8 inch. You can obviously use a 1/2 inch as well, and then I had a 17mm socket to open the lug nuts, and that is it. So yeah, so now you have all the info. Oh, and also a 9mm spanner. You need a 9mm for the bleeder valve. Okay, I hope that covers all of it. All right, I hope this helps.